Yoshoma Shoma, Icona Man, 97.7 FM.
Hello there, good afternoon. A warm welcome to a very special program right here on Kanele 97.7 FM. We are hosting Mr. Brian Chileshe, who is ZICTA Regional Officer Chipata. ZICTA being Zambia Information and Communications Technology Authority. Sir, good afternoon, and thank you so much for coming through to Kanele 97.7 FM.
Good afternoon to you too, and good afternoon to all the listeners.
All right. First things first, sir. What is ZICTA's mandate?
Yes, thank you very much for that question. Basically, what I would like to say is ZICTA is a government agency. In Nyanja, we can say ni Bungo la Boma.
Okay.
Which is actually formed or provided for under the ICT Act number 15 of 2009.
Okay.
Basically, the authority, it empowers ZICTA with the authority to actually regulate the ICT sector and all electronic communications and services.
Okay.
Basically, ZICTA is guided by three acts, and the first one, of course, being the ICT Act of 2009, but we also regulate the postal services. So there's also the Postal Services Act number 22 of 2009, and then there's the ECT Act number 4 of 2021.
Okay.
Thank you.
I know today we want to discuss consumer protection. That was just to share the mandate of ZICTA so that we shape up this conversation that we're having this afternoon. What would be the description of consumer protection in ZICTA terms, that is?
Thank you very much for that question. Actually, this is a key topic that we need to push. And we need to ensure that our consumers are actually aware. What I can say is consumer protection ensures that consumers are given information so that they can make a well-informed decision on the products and services that they want, and also so that they can get the best value out of their purchases in terms of products and services. So that they can actually know their own rights and their obligations, as well as so that they can be able to actually issue inquiries and complaints from their service providers. Basically, undertaking comprehensive consumer awareness is part of our mandate under our consumer protection mandate. And we also are here to set up multiple channels for consumers to be able to issue complaints and to be able to contact their service providers, and to ensure that service providers provide high quality service and products, and ensure that the consumers are content in terms of what they are expecting in terms of the high quality And also we also formulate appropriate consumer protection guidelines, and as well as codes of conduct and quality of service standards for the service providers and the consumers, so that the consumers can get the best value for their money.
All right. What is ZICTA's role in relationship to consumer protection?
What I can say is the actual concept of consumer protection mandate is outlined in Section 6 of the ICT Act number 21 of 2009. It actually gives us the mandate to promote the interests and rights of the consumers themselves. But further to that, it also allows us to actually create consumer protection guidelines under Section 67, as well as a code of conduct which guides the service providers in which they are supposed to conduct themselves, and also now the quality of service guidelines that I mentioned. Just to speak into it further, I would say quality of service guidelines are created so that the service providers can abide to that, so that it's a well-defined target, so that consumers know the target that's actually supposed to be there. For example, how many phone calls am I supposed to be able to make without any delay? How long is it supposed to take for a phone call to actually connect? So those are some of the things that are there in the quality of service guidelines, so that when complaints are made, we're actually able to match them according to the quality of service guidelines, and to ensure that the consumer protection complaints procedures are followed and adhered to. Thank you.
You've mentioned the provisions of the law. Kindly elaborate if ZICTA has put in place these guidelines or regulations around consumer protection. Are there specific ones, and how do you enforce them?
Thank you very much for that question. That is quite actually an important question, to actually let you know what we are doing as regards to the same guidelines and consumer protection mandate. You see, the authority has put in place, like I said, the code of conduct, which ensures service providers are able to actually conduct themselves in a way that is suitable for their industry and suitable for their consumers. The authority, in exercising its obligations to protect the rights and interests of consumers, has actually identified even the specific rights and obligations of the consumers or purchasers, which need to be highlighted and brought to the fore. Also, ZICTA has put in place, like I said, quality of service guidelines, which are quite active, and they are actually updated from time to time, so that modern and current issues are taken on board based on consumers' complaints and requests. Thank you.
All right. Now that you have mentioned rights, kindly highlight some of these consumer rights, rights that consumers have in as far as our conversation is concerned this afternoon.
Okay. One of them is actually consumer education, which actually highlights the rights for a consumer to have the knowledge and skill for them to be able to fully utilize a service or a product, and which is supposed to influence them in making a good decision. An additional right is dispute resolution and redress, where a consumer has the right to actually make a complaint and ensure that it is responded to and resolved to their satisfaction according to the guidelines. Also, there's also full disclosure, where a consumer has a right to full information regarding the product or services that they are supposed to purchase or use. This ensures that all the terms and conditions are brought to the fore, and so that consumers can make a fully informed decision, knowing exactly what they are getting into, or what the service that they are getting, what they should actually expect. In addition to that, consumers have a right to privacy. They have a right to privacy in terms of their information is supposed to be protected and not shared with other parties that do not have a right to access that information.
Okay.
So the service provider is supposed to actually protect that privacy and confidentiality. In addition, generally, a consumer has a right to high quality and reliable service based on the quality of service guidelines to ensure that they are able to actually use their device and services according to what they've paid for. Yes, thank you.
Consumer protection is what you're looking at. In case you've just joined us, this is Kanele 97.7 FM. We are hosting Mr. Brian Chileshe, who is ZICTA Regional Officer here in Eastern Province, to be precise, Chipata. Quite a lot has been explained so far from the time we started this conversation. Kindly unpack the consumer right with regards to complaint handling.
Thank you very much. Actually, that's one of the biggest issues that I've come to Lundazi for. First and foremost, when a consumer has an inquiry or a complaint about a product or service that they're receiving, they're supposed to communicate to the service provider directly. So basically, you already have a link. The service provider knows who you are, and you know who your service provider is. You're supposed to contact them directly. So when we're talking about service providers, we're talking about all four mobile network operators. And when we are talking about courier services, we're talking about all the courier services that are out there, including ZICTA. You're supposed to contact them. But you're supposed to contact them within 14 days of the incident.
Within 14 days?
Within 14 days. This allows quick and easy retrieval of the information required to resolve your complaint.
What happens when you file it beyond the 14-day period?
It becomes completely difficult for the service provider to handle your complaint, and according to it means that they can't be they won't be held accountable according to the consumer protection guidelines. Yes, it's easier to hold them accountable when you report within 14 days. And then now when you report within 14 days, they're supposed to resolve within 7 days. If they don't resolve within 7 days, they're supposed to get back to you at 7 days to ensure that you get full feedback on the complaint that you issued. If it's not resolved, or of course it is resolved but it's not resolved to your satisfaction, that's when now you're supposed to engage ZICTA. And when you engage ZICTA through either our toll-free line, our email, our website, or indeed even our Facebook page, we are supposed to resolve it within 21 days.
All right.
Yes.
Would you kindly share some of the complaints that you've been receiving as ZICTA over the years and how you have resolved them? I would give an example as a backup to this question. There are times when there is an outage of a particular service where some consumers may not access data services, and then at some point when there is a reward of some sort from the service provider, then a lot of people are complaining that it's not equal to what we had lost during that particular outage. Just share with us what has happened over the years and how you've handled these matters.
Basically, like you've said, these are what we refer to as regulatory complaints that are within our mandate. Yes, we respond to complaints of course, fast finishing data. Talk time that was not updated when they purchased the talk time, and then also when there's an outage and people are unable to actually utilize their bundles and units.
Yeah.
Before I get directly to that one, I'd want to say, of course, we resolve the ones that have data finishing quickly.
Okay.
If there's an error on the system, it is corrected. But sometimes it is as a result of new and improved technology, such as 4G.
Mm-hmm.
We find a situation whereby when infrastructure is upgraded, people don't realize how fast they're accessing their pages, their social media, what they're downloading. And sometimes they have apps that update in the background.
Oh, okay.
So they don't know the settings of their phones. And the moment they just buy data bundles, those apps chew all their talk time and it disappears, all their bundles and they disappear and they complain. So at least those are resolved by informing them what exactly has transpired. And in cases where there is a system error, of course, units are restored or bundles are restored. It has been that is actually the most common complaint. Now, when it comes to outage of network, when there's network outage and you've bought bundles and those bundles fall within that period, this is resolved in terms of the data speeds, the quantity or minutes that you bought, and also if it can be consumed. For example, if you buy a 1 hour bundle and then there's data outage for 1 hour, how much of that time was within the hour of the data bundle? For example, if there's outage after 40 minutes, it means that only 20 minutes was remaining for you to use that bundle, and how much can be used in that 20 minutes. So it's actually determined at that level. So it doesn't mean that because you didn't use your bundles and when you are about to use them, there's network outage. It doesn't mean you're going to get all your bundles back.
All right.
It simply means that a calculation will be made to actually determine how much you're actually deserving of those bundles based on the outage.
There's also another issue, sir, to do with mobile money transactions. We want to do a reversal. I remember at some point when one initiates a reversal, there passes some time, and then the network provider will suspend services on the affected account that has received that money at some point, not until they approve that. It's quite different these days. When you do a reversal, it will need that receiver to approve of it, and if they don't, then you're going to lose that money just like that. It will sit on that particular account. Maybe what specific complaints have ZICTA received in this aspect, and how are you handling them?
Now, that is what we call a non-regulatory complaint, because money basically falls under the jurisdiction of Bank of Zambia.
Wow.
So the platform, yes, is regulated by ZICTA, and the service provider is the one which hosts the platform. However, the money itself belongs to Bank of Zambia. It falls under the jurisdiction of Bank of Zambia.
Okay.
And for those things to be there, it means that those are approved by Bank of Zambia according to best financial practices. So I won't speak too much into that, but basically just to highlight simple scenarios, there were situations where people would actually undertake a transaction, receive a product or services, and then simply do a reversal.
Okay.
Yes, therefore defrauding the person who they got the goods or services. So Bank of Zambia put in place those measures so that basically that is prevented. However, when the one who does not who received the money does not approve the reversal and declines to send the money back, then now that's a situation that is handled by the police.
Okay.
It means that it falls now under the jurisdiction of the police because you know where the money is and it's in possession of someone else.
All right.
Yes, so now it becomes an issue for the police. So I would like to encourage our listeners to actually contact the service providers when they do make a mistake and follow the procedures, do a reversal.
Okay.
And then ask that person to return. If they do not return the money, go to the next level and contact the police.
All right. In case you have just made that particular big switch, we are talking consumer protection and we are hosting ZICTA. Thank you so much for still staying with us. We are discussing consumer protection right here on Kanele 97.7 FM. And to help us discuss that is Mr. Brian Chileshe, who is a ZICTA regional officer based in Chipata. Yes, sir, we have discussed quite a lot. Let's now look at these interventions that you are making, quite a lot of strides that you have made, but how much are you sensitizing the public to understand this? Because many a times when consumers are just saying, we'll not even complain about it, we'll just act like this is normal, we'll just accept it because this has now become like the main status of how things should be. Let's look at the sensitization part of it. What are you doing as ZICTA to veil this information to the public?
Thank you very much for that question. Actually, we are very, very active, and that is the reason why I'm here. Basically, I'll give a rundown of, for example, what we've done. We do generate information, communication, and education materials, which we do share, so that people can read and share that information with others, so that they understand the complaints procedure and the importance of making a complaint. I would like to reiterate that if you don't make a complaint, nothing will happen. You'll be complaining amongst yourselves and everything, and ZICTA will not know. Your service provider will not know. Sometimes your service provider is actually interested to improve the service quality, but if you don't make a complaint, they won't know. So as we distribute a lot of IEC materials, we do a lot of open market awareness. For example, during this period, we went to Chama and we set up in the middle of town, and we had an open market awareness activity where we set up an information desk. We also went down to the village in Kambombo, where we ensured that people had access to us. They could ask questions. We could give them the information. In addition to that, we do child online protection training, the trainer. We train people who can train others to be able to better handle child online protection, so that when children are online, they have the capacity to actually handle children being online. We also do awareness programs around, for example, traditional ceremonies and events. We are always found there. When there was Labor Day, we were there. When there was Youth Day, we were there. When there's Women's Day, we are there. When there's Nchwala, we are there. When there's Kulamba, we are there. So we ensure that we are there on all critical events,
Okay.
even traditional ceremonies. And then we do SIM card agent training. We actually train the agents who actually sell the SIM cards and higher service quality and ensuring that they comply with all the regulations that are actually there. So I've actually been training agents. I trained the agents in Chama. We had a more early morning session around 7 a.m. where we had conversations around service quality and how they can better abide to regulations. We had training here in Ndazi. We had a training in Chasefu. And we also had a training in Lumezi, where we actually sat down with some of the agents just to give them pointers on how they can do their job better and benefit more. We also do digital awareness on social media.
Okay.
You'll see a lot of banners as forwarding on WhatsApp. Also, you will see a lot of posts on our Facebook page. Apart from that, we also have an X handle, and we're also available on X. So we do a lot of social media awareness, but also we do other programs such as radio programs like where I'm now.
Yeah.
We engage the general public and just have a general information to provide the way I'm providing so that people know better how to complain. In addition to that, we also engage and discuss with our key stakeholders, our local authorities, our government departments, those people who can actually spread the news and inform others. It's quite important that we also do that. Thank you.
How's the response like from the community? You seem to have done quite a lot. How is the message landing on their ears so far?
Well, of course, it's a matter of attitude and culture. We are trying to create a good digital culture. Of course, others will say, but have you ever complained? And nothing was done. No. We're trying to now integrate it into our culture to actually understand that we can get the service that we deserve, but it has to be based on good engagement through the complaints handling procedures.
I've also seen maybe before we get to the issue of the initiative that you've employed as ZICTA. Let's look on the issue to do with SIM card registration, because many a times when we hear announcements that you have deregistered quite a number of SIM cards for different reasons.
Yes.
One of those reasons would be maybe using for fraudster and other illegal activities that associate these particular SIM cards. But another one could also be there are people that have registered these SIM cards using other people's NRCs. There are others that are also buying some of these SIM cards that are pre-registered. Let's look at this particular aspect. What leads into ZICTA deregistering these SIM cards, apart from some of the reasons I've articulated on?
Thank you very much. That's quite a good question. Of course, you hinted on it, and you mentioned when they are wrongly registered. It's a matter of KYC, know your customer. It means that you are deliberately misrepresenting information and preventing the lawful authorities or the administrators of your service from getting the correct details. And according to the regulations, that kind of a SIM card is supposed to be deactivated. So that was especially during a period of time when we were encouraging people to correct and rectify their SIM card details,
Mm-hmm.
because it is essential. You can imagine how many people came to rectify the details of their SIM card when they were getting a partial withdrawal.
All that time.
You see, that's when people actually notice the importance of having correct information,
Right.
and ensuring that those details are represented. It's not just about other NAPSA systems or other government systems. Even, for example, social cash transfer.
Yeah.
You are supposed to have a correctly registered SIM card. So all government services, all public services, and also electronic communication, even transactions, are based on the fact that you're supposed to have correctly registered SIM cards. So basically, that's the reason why we deactivate them, and it's to help others who are within the network to be safe and be confident to be able to use the service.
How are the compliance levels now? You've mentioned an example of the partial withdrawal having contributed greatly to the correction and registration of these SIM cards. How is it like now?
Well, I think because most government services are being pushed digital.
Cash for work is one of them. Yeah.
Cash for work, you are paid. They're supposed to be paid electronically, and people are beginning to realize that it's quite important for them to comply, because cash for work, e-voucher, social cash transfer, it's all gone digital. Okay, this is the digital economy now, fully digitized, and the government is dispensing its services through digital methods. So for you to actually benefit from that, you need to represent yourself on the networks according with the correct details. So the compliance levels have drastically improved, and I would say, of course, you can encourage people, but once they actually see the benefit, they comply on their own, and the compliance levels are drastically improving. And very, very few people are actually not complying, and sooner or later they will see the benefits of complying.
You did mention that the money side of things, even if there is a certain part you handle, but the larger part has to do with the Bank of Zambia. Nge impia shabalanda nashfuma. How are you sorting out that problem? Does it fall under your jurisdiction? Has it been also reduced to a certain extent? Because people were complaining that some service providers are not greatly affected by that particular challenge. There are just quite a few they would name that this network is really into this. How much have you done to also try and sort out that issue, being one of those that is affecting these consumers?
Of course, like you've indicated, we've deactivated a lot of SIM cards that were wrongly registered. And of course, we do a lot of agent training.
Okay.
But most importantly, there is *707#.
Okay.
Power in your hands to actually report those scammers, and it's 24/7. You can report a scammer anytime. So basically, to reduce that, we've allowed that platform, and we're encouraging our consumers report those numbers that send you scamming messages or call you trying to scam you. If you don't report them, there's nothing we can do. A lot of people say this is happening a lot, but if we actually check in the database of complaints, we find those complaints are not there.
Oh goodness!
So it's also a matter. That's actually the reason why we are here in this part of Eastern Province, to encourage people to complain and report those scammers so that something can be done. We need a complainant to take action. The laws that are there require us to have a complainant for us to take action and do something about it. So I'm still encouraging. If not, we've put it in the hands of the consumers. They are the ones who are supposed to report on *707# so that something can be done. So if they want more to be done, they need to report each and every scammer that they come across on star 707 hash.
With these low numbers of the complaints being submitted to ZICTA, aren't you worried that these vices could still go on, and then your mandate may not be fully carried out?
No, our mandate is being fully carried out by us coming here to give awareness and inform the consumers on the complaints procedure and for them to be able to report. Our mandate only goes as far as the consumers would want, but it starts with the consumer themselves to report. So for us, our mandate is done. We've given them the opportunity to report the scammers. Now, the question that could actually be raised is, why are they not reporting? It's not a matter of the guidelines not being, everything is fine. The methods are there to complain. So now that is why we are here, to encourage now the consumers to report, so that you will be satisfied with the outcome.
Could it be maybe they are thinking ZICTA and its people will live in the same community, so probably could be facing the same challenges? Maybe ZICTA could help in reporting some of these problems, some preconceived mind of saying we live in the same community. Probably ZICTA will find a way of sorting this one out. If there is one who thinks in those lines, what word of advice would you have for such?
We depend on a complainant. There is no way we can start doing something based on also having a preconceived notion that this is happening. We have a research department, and we keep statistics according to the complaints, and we take action based on those statistics. You have to complain for us to move. For us to introduce star 707 hash is because complaints came through, and we realized we need to expand methods and add another avenue for consumers to complain. So now that is being provided. You need to complain for action to be taken. We cannot act without a complainant. Otherwise, that will be abusing our authority. We need to have a complainant for us to actually take action.
All right, let's listen to this message before we look at specific interventions provided by ZICTA in tackling these problems. Thank you so much for still staying with us. I'm Stephen Nkoma, hosting Mr. Brian Chileshe, who is a ZICTA regional officer based in Chipata. Consumer protection is what we have centered our conversation on this particular afternoon. So welcome back to the last segment of our conversation this afternoon. You did mention star 707 hash, and then from the message we're just from airing, there is a 7070 also being mentioned. Kindly share with us, if at all, there are any other initiatives that ZICTA has put in place in engaging with the consumers and handling their complaints.
Thank you very much. Actually, it's a great opportunity for me to always share this information. Firstly, I'll start with the star 101 hash. That is a number that we use to actually check our SIM registration details to ensure that, one, our SIM registration details are correct and accurate. 2, to know how many SIM cards have actually been registered under our NRC. These are very, very critical because when you want to get goods and services, you need to have correctly registered details, especially when you're talking about the government services, bus and online services. You need to have correctly registered details, otherwise you will lose out.
Okay.
Yes. And then of course, to ensure that you know the number of SIM cards, maybe someone else has illegally registered another SIM card in your name. You need to know, because at the end of the day, it's you who's responsible for each and every registered SIM card that is in your name. So I would encourage people to dial *101#. Just check how many SIM cards are registered and check if the details are correct, so that you don't lose out at a later date.
And are these codes across network, or they are specific for specific networks?
They are for all networks. They work on all 4 mobile network operators platforms.
Okay.
Yes. And then now, of course, like we had mentioned, there is *707#. Power in your hands to report scammers. As far as we are concerned, if you don't report, it means there are no scammers. So we want you to report so that we can take action. And we need to take action in a specific direction. Who is the problem?
Okay.
So you need to report the scammer so that we know who the scammer is and we do something about it. *707#.
All right.
And then, of course, there's the phone number 7070. It's free of charge. It's a toll-free line which you can call to access ZICTA. Like I said, when you have a complaint, call your service provider on 111. It's the example I like to give is like in a marriage scenario. Yes, you have your Shibukombe, your Nkoswe, or Vachikulile to actually facilitate for the marriage to take place. But once you are married and you know one another, you take your complaint to the person who's providing the service to you, to the person who you're married to. There's no need to go outside to complain outside. When you know the person and you can tell them and say, look, I don't like this. The quality of the service is like this. I've lost my talk time. You complain directly to that person. Only when that person does not take appropriate action, that's when now you approach, as we say, the Nkoswe, and that is now ZICTA. Okay. That's when now we actually take action and help mitigate a resolution to your complaint which satisfies both sides.
All right.
Yeah. And then, of course, we also have our web page. You can issue your complaints on our web page, and also on Facebook. If you like, you can come to Facebook, or you can even email on complaints@zicta.zm. So these are some of the key ways you can actually air your complaints and report scammers. I would encourage people in Lundazi, Valundazi wonse, mukalandira ka message kama scammers, *707#. Ilipo, it's there for you. And if you don't complain, how do you expect ZICTA to do anything if we don't know? And then when you have a problem with your service, tell the service provider, tell them, call them on 111. Tell them whether it's bad network, your bundles have been chewed up, if you have issues with making phone calls, even if there's no network at a certain particular time, you need to actually complain to your service provider so that they know and they should do something about it. If they don't do something about it and you've told them on 111, you call ZICTA and you explain that I complained on this and this day. The complaint number is so and so, and this issue has not been resolved.
Okay.
That's when we take action.
I know you've mentioned of the toll-free number being 7070
Yes.
to be precise. The challenge mostly that consumers face would be a point where you're calling this toll-free line and then they're not responding. How is the status with this one? Are there challenges to a certain extent where somebody calls and there's no response? How prompt is this line?
Well, we're doing our best to respond to queries and complaints. And of course, at some times there could be a long queue.
Okay.
But that is because complaints are coming directly to us on even simple matters where the service provider can respond.
Goodness.
People should call 111. The service provider will respond instantly. Now, when you use us as the regulator, it's like you're using the regulator going around circles.
Okay.
So at times there could be queues, but that's because we are here to serve you and want to serve you better. And you can access us on Monday to Friday on 7070. But first, call your service provider. Please call them 111. Any problem that you face, call 111. When it's not resolved, then call ZICTA. Thank you.
What are the reporting channels consumers can get you on in order to exercise their right to complain?
Okay, so now when you are done with the service provider and perhaps they are not adequately responding to your needs or requirement, I would first say call. I would say first call on 7070 and you access us very, very easily. Call us on 7070. As long as they have not resolved your complaint, call on 7070. But you could also send an email on complaints@zicta.zm. Complaints@zicta.zm. An email allows you to more elaborate your problem or your challenge, which is quite important. It's like a letter. You can even write a letter to ZICTA and we'll respond adequately. But you can write an email, you can come to our Facebook page, you can go on our website. There's a complaints form on our website. So you can actually go there and complain or give details of your complaints. Even on Facebook, we will respond to you. But if all that fails and you feel it has failed, you can come physically at the corner of Independence and United Nations Avenue, where the ZICTA HQ. Also in other regions, you can go to Chinsali and report to the Chinsali office. You can go to Ndola. We have a Ndola office, which is basically there at the Trade Fair grounds. We also have an office in Choma, where you can even go and report. But for people in this region, you can also come to our office in Chipata, which is at Bishop John Osmas Office Complex on Church Road. It is opposite Zambia Sugar. That's what they call the place. It's adjacent, adjacent to Zesco. And also on the other end, it's opposite Eastern Water. So it's very, very easy to find. It's in the middle of town. You can come through.
All right.
Yes.
Government on several fronts is promoting what we call decentralization. You've spoken of the nearest being Chipata. Are there opportunities that other than these extended programs that you come to Lundazi, you go to Lumezi, you go to Chama, there could be an office we can easily run to other than the Chipata one?
That is quite important that you mention it that way, but as of now, there are no immediate plans for us to come to Lundazi at the moment. But we are a technology organization, and with decentralization and devolution, we find a situation whereby as long as you can complain about your mobile phone, it means you can call.
Okay.
We deal with information and the communication technologies that are associated with it.
All right.
So you can easily call. As long as you have a problem about your network, it means eventually you can call us.
All right.
And we ask you to use those methods. It is cheaper, both on the government and also on your side, if you can actually contact us through these toll-free lines that we've set up.
All right. As we're coming at the very end of this conversation, what are your concluding remarks?
I would like to thank you, our radio presenter, for receiving us, and the radio station for allowing us and giving us this opportunity to talk to our consumers so that they can be served better. I would also like to thank all the consumers, Kulino program. I'd like to thank you for actually taking the time to listen so that you can actually be empowered with the information that is required. And I would also encourage all our listeners to use the complaints procedure and complain about any given problem or even inquiries or phone. So not chabe madandaulo, no, but also number phone. So
Okay.
if you have a question, ask your service provider on 111. I'll repeat it. Ask your service provider on 111. Only if they are unable to resolve, that's when you come to us so that we can actually resolve that issue for you. Thank you so much.
All right, so that's Mr. Brian Chileshe, ZICTA Regional Officer, Chipata. We were discussing consumer protection. I've been your host, Stephen Nkoma. Remember, ZICTA is Zambia Information and Communications Technology Authority. Hopefully the information that we have shared with you today will be utilized well. Till next time, God bless you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Cause we are bridging the digital divide. Yeah, no more communicating and using your choices. You can talk to the chief on your phone while you relax at your home. With a link to the braille printer at the school for the blind. Self-full school is the name you will find. And the future looks green. Come on, computer tonight. Come on, my school. Namatawa tonight. Kapakuchulu. Mande muga tumile na sikulu. Cause we are bridging the digital divide. ZICTA, promoting access of ICTs for all.
Kanele FM.